Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today the most requested video from yesterday's video is AIPI and FEPI, and to do a deep dive into those two funds and see if they're right for you. And I am invested in them, and I'm going to go over my thoughts as a retiree about AIPI and FEPI. That's what you're looking for. Stick around. So last night I sat around and I did some mathematical calculations because that's what I like to do. I like to do math and I like to build stuff out and see if I'm totally wrong, first of all, for my retirement. And two, I like to build this out so I can share it with you guys. So I'm actually going to share a copy of the Excel spreadsheet that I did for my calculations for my 8% threshold with the members. And I'm going to share it on the Facebook group just for them to be able to take their numbers and put it in there. So if you're not members or part of the Facebook group, you should probably join. Just throw it out for conversations. But let's go ahead and dig into this. So Rec shares, if you don't know, right now or in the past, they used to write about 5% out of the money. That is assuming a very low volatility. As we can see, the implied volatility of things like Tesla and Nvidia and Meta are much higher than the SPX, which is S&P 500, or the Nasdaq. So you can see how the volatility is higher on individual stocks. In relation to that, because of the volatility of individual stocks, they can write farther out of the money when the market is volatile, and they will be closer to the money when the market is less volatile. And 5%, that's probably when the VIX is around the 15 to 14 range, because that was when those slides were actually made by Rec shares. If I look at the volatility today, ooh, look at that. Look how high that volatility is. So they were able to write those strikes farther out. So if you don't know, every month, right around the 21st or thereabouts, they write for the next month. And that's because they're writing on the monthlies. So it's going to be the third week of the month. So that's when monthly options usually expire. So keep that in mind. Right around that third Friday of every month, they will write those calls. And you just have to see when the monthlies are. Let's face it, the price of AIPI and FEPI both drop. They drop like a rock. If I look at the little red arrow, the red arrow indicates February 18th. That's when we saw FEPI just drop off the face of the earth. And we saw AIPI. It just went down. It just it just got demolished over time. The yellow line, for everybody's information, is actually my average price for both of these funds. So this chart is going to show us what was the average price change since February 18th. You can see that the average price change for the stocks in FEPI was almost 16%, 15.7. FEPI is down 17%. Keep in mind, even though we went through a down market, they can get capped on some of their funds. And that's important to understand. As the market goes up, they will get capped. And it's very possible to get capped on the way down. But right now, as of February 18th, FEPI is down 18%. If I look at AIPI, theirs is down 17%. And we have AIPI down 21%. Keep in mind that AIPI is not equally weighted, and FEPI is equally weighted among their stocks. Just keep that in mind. So if one of AIPI's larger holding is down farther, they will be down farther. And reversely, if one of their larger holdings is up, they will be up more. Where FEPI rebalances every month, right around that third Friday of the month, they will rebalance the funds. So you take the amount of stocks that they have and they split it up equally. Where AIPI will rebalance every single month, exactly on the same day, and they will put it in different percentage just to make sure that they're doing exactly what their actual index is relying on, because both of these were made on an index that's done fairly well. Keep in mind, they get capped on the upside. Remember, on low volatility, they're 5% out of the money. Just keep that in mind. We're going to get into that later on in the video. So if we look at the 24th for FEPI, this is as of the 24th, and their calls, you can see the percentage of price change since 421, and you can see how far each one of those individual stocks are up. You can also see how far out of the money each one of those stocks still is on their calls. So Apple was up 8%, but their call was still 4.9% out of the money. So that means when they wrote that call had to be 13% out of the money for the month. Other ones like Tesla is up 23%. And you can see that we captured that 23%. Now, if I look at more recent strikes, what they do is every week they write additional strikes. Not all the time and not on every single stock. It's varying depending on their need to generate the income that they need for that month to pay us out. And what you can see is they wrote additional strikes on things like Apple, Adobe, Nvidia. So you can see that they're actually farther out of the money most of the times when they write those strikes. Sometimes, if the stock is going down, they'll write the calls closer, but that is only when the market is going down for that particular stock. On AIPI, you can see the exact same thing. You can see how far they wrote out of the money for each one of those stocks. You can take the price change and you can add it to the out of money so you can see how far some of these things are out of the money. Microsoft was 15, 16% out of the money for them to be able to generate the income that they need to pay us out at the end of next month. And again, the following week on the 28th, when I went out and downloaded the sheets like I do every single Monday, I see that they wrote additional strikes on different things, including Microsoft. And what you're going to notice is the light purple on this one. So the light purple is where they have the majority of those strikes written. The ones that are white, that is where they have written strikes, but it's a smaller percentage of the total portfolio. So if we take something like Microsoft, majority of their strikes are at $420, which is 7.51 out of the money. If Microsoft, for whatever reason, has a big rally in the next week or two, we will capture a lot of those gains because the strikes are so far out of the money. That's just what you need to be aware of. Now, I went back out and I said, wait a second, let's look at this average drop since February. And you can just see where the average drop was for these. I just changed the sheet. FEPI's down 17%, and the average for these are down 15.7. So let's get into my spreadsheet for my cost and give you some thoughts how this works over time, because this is me as a retiree. This is all based on me being a retiree. I'm not trying to make a huge amount of money. I'm trying to live in retirement on 8% of cost, not worth, but cost. And let's see how this breaks down on a spreadsheet. We'll go from left to right and explain this. First one is my cost. AIPI, I have $56,000 in it. My cost basis is $50. I have 1,134 shares. And the current price is $38.88. and the last distribution was $1.10. Now, next month, I'm projecting at a 0.5% increase for the month. All the way over here is a 0.5% increase. I'm projecting that, hey, the price of goes up a 0.5% between now and distribution time. And my distribution will be about $1.17. I will take my 8% on my cost, which is $378 out of my monthly distribution of $1,300. I will be able to reinvest $947 back into the fund, giving me a 23 additional shares. And it has to drop to $38.44 for me not to get my 8% on cost. Doing this, you can see, as you can see, every single month my cost basis goes down. And this is looking at it for 2 years. And every single month I get a pay raise living on my 8%. And that's assuming a 0.5% gain every single month. But let's change that. Let's change that to 1%. AIPI. And these stocks go up 1% for the next month, knowing that they rate the cost 5% of the money. Here's the problem. We know that they don't all go up and they don't all go down at the same rate at the same time. Different events cause different funds to go up and go down at different rates. But let's get into this. At 1%, you can see my cost basis continues to go down, and eventually my cost basis is below the current price with a 1% assumption that the price of AIPI goes up every month. And again, we can change that to a 0.5% per month. Not looking for huge gains. It goes up a 0.5%. And you can see what happens to that fund over time. Moving on to FEPI, $40,000 invested in it. My share count, my cost basis, and you can see 8% on my current price prediction of a 0.5% gain every single month. And you can see the threshold go down every single month in the future. And this is the threshold that I have to get to not to be able to collect my 8%. So right now, going into next month, it has to drop to $33. Probably not going to happen. We're probably going to see a 0.5% gain over the next month. But we know everything's not linear. And we know that over time that it's not linear. Will it be a 0.5%? Maybe as an average, it could be. Maybe it's 1%. And if we put 1% in, we can see exactly what happens. We can see that we get to our cost basis in 18 months as an average. But in between time, taking my 8%, my monthly distributions continue to climb. I'm able to reinvest every single month. My share count goes up and my threshold goes down. That's how I look at it as a retiree. I don't need everything to go up and to the right. I just need to be able to collect my 8%. And this gives me a tool. I can collect my 8% every single month, even in a downturn. If I go straight back up to the top, and we can see next month's projected distribution of $716, I'm living on $269 of that. And I'm able to reinvest $447 of that. And it just lowers my cost basis. And it gives me a pay raise every single month. Because you can look from 2 years from now, I'm able to pull out $360 a month out of this using my 8% living on cost, not worth. Gives you a different perspective of how far the fund can drop and how you can live on 8% with some of these funds, even as they go down and go up in price. And the last one I want to share with you is some different calculations. Let's go back to that average. So the average was for FEPI since February 18th. The average for the actual shares is 15.77. They're down 17%. And keep in mind, FEPI was evenly balanced, but they might not have been evenly balanced at that time because some funds could be up, some of the stocks could be down. I don't know the exact percentages, but I probably have the data that I can go back, but it's pretty close. If I take that exact same thought and I look at April 21st, The average is up 13%, and we captured 8% that upward movement. So you can see how much the actual stocks have to increase for us to get a average move up. And we can do the exact same thing for AIPI. The stocks moved up as an average 13.2%, and AIPI did an average move up of 7%. Just to give you how it works, because we are getting capped on the upward movement. So this all has to do with your cost basis and your belief in some of these stocks. This is one of the reasons I really thought about getting into individual stocks, but I didn't. I like the basket of stocks because you're not relying on one individual stock to go up or one individual stock to go down. Hopefully you understand now that, hey, everything went down and we saw that movement down. Everything's going back up and we're seeing that movement back up. Will it go up 0.5% on an average every single month? Some months it's going to be 2, some months it's going to be flat, but we will probably see things go up as long as the market continues to go up. And in 2 years from now, I am pretty sure the market will be going upwards and not downwards. For the short term, we don't know. The market could see another 5 to 10% correction. Doubt it, because I think the Fed is going to cut rates sometime later this year. And when they do, we'll start to see upward movements again. And the tariffs, we don't know where those are going to fall. We don't know if tariffs are going to hit these or if there's going to be come to an agreement between everybody. We just don't know. Keep the faith. Don't panic. If you're a retiree, you can see mathematically, I can live off my distributions of 8%, and I am nowhere near hitting that threshold on my 8%. Again, the price of FEPI has to drop to $33. Don't think it's quite going to get there anytime in the near future. I think we'll see those small gains over time. If you want a copy of this Excel spreadsheet, members, I'll put it in the post later today. And anybody else, you can join the Facebook group and I'll have it posted there. So until next time, God bless.